A very happy Durga Puja to one and all. Today we are going to talk about what are the most in-demand data roles. Understand, often you are stuck by the question what are the different data related roles that one could prepare for, what are the skills associated with them, what are the average salaries associated with those roles for a fresher or for a 1 or 2 year experienced individual. So आज हम इन सारी क्वेश्चन से डील करेंगे एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंटली विल अंडरस्टैंड किन सारी रोल्स के लिए आपको क्या क्या स्किल्स ज़रूरी है. And once again, I am Saurav Agarwal and you are watching Datahat. What are the 6 most in-demand data-related roles? What are the associated skills? What are the associated tools that one needs to learn in order to get into those fields? Always understand, whichever field you choose, whichever field you have an interest in, you must be prepared to face its pros and cons. Every field has its own advantages as well as there are certain challenges associated with the field. Learn thoroughly what are the skills that you need to learn for each of a field, as well as what are some of the tools that are being used currently in the industry. All these are presented based on the industry standards, and in reality, some organizations might overlap 1 or 2 roles or might have you work on additional skill sets apart from the ones mentioned here. These are an indication of what you need to prepare for. So, let us understand first what are the 3 broad fields of data science. The data science study is itself based on the 3 major fields of study, which are mathematics and statistics, computer science, and business domain intelligence. These are the 3 broad domains or fields of study based on which our data science study is developed. Now, an interesting fact that the term machine learning was coined in 1989 by Arthur Samuel. I will attach a link in the description. I want all of you to go ahead and read that document or article about machine learning and how it was generated. Let us now continue with our 6 most in demand data related roles. They are the business analyst, data engineer, machine learning engineer, data scientist, and MLOps engineer. Earlier, MLOps engineer was not a separate category in itself, but now, based on the demand, based on the requirements, it is a separate role altogether. Now, first of all, let us understand with business analyst. So, coming to the roles of a business analyst, the primary role involves data visualization and dashboarding using results for actionable business insights, storytelling, and communication. Now, for in order to have these roles, in order to perform these roles, some of the tools that are being used in the industry include Power BI, Tableau for dashboarding, Excel, spreadsheet, and market research. So these are some of the roles and skills needed for a business analyst. If you want to learn about the average salary of a business analyst in the industry today after the COVID pandemic, make sure you watch the video till the end. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, share with your friends and data science enthusiasts, and help them. I wish you all a very happy Durga Puja once again. Now, the next one, we talk of data analyst. As a data analyst, some of the roles that you need to perform are data visualization, exploratory data analysis, feature engineering, data cleaning, data processing, data munging. Even in some organizations, you might need to perform basic modeling, predictive modeling, descriptive modeling. So, again, the roles might vary depending on the organization that you're working in. If you understand what is the primary roles of a particular field, a particular position, you must also read through what is the job description about. The job description will give you a clear picture. I always advise the fellow data science enthusiasts to make sure to read the job description properly. If you're not clear with some of the things, go ahead and ask the HRs, ask the people who are already into those positions in a particular organization. I have already prepared a video on the major reasons due to which a candidate gets rejected. Do check that video out in the I link above. Now, coming back to some of the tools needed for the role of a data analyst. A data analyst must be familiar with the programming tools such as Python and R, which are the most popularly used in India as well as globally. The other most important tool is SQL and having basic machine learning understanding. So these will help you become a data analyst or apply for a data analyst role. Next, we talk of data engineer. So data engineer roles require who is a data engineer? Understand this. A data engineer's primary role revolves around data pipelines. How do you make the data useful for the entire data science team? For the people who want to draw insights from the data, how do you create a pipeline to combine data from multiple sources? The one of the terms you must have heard of is ETL, extract, transform, load. This is the task that comes under data engineering. Managing cloud platforms. So a organization might be using multiple cloud platforms for themselves, such as AWS, Azure, GCP. A data engineer must be familiar with these cloud platforms, right? Apart from that, in larger organizations or organizations dealing with multitudes or terabytes, petabytes of data, they might also need to learn about distributed data storage. Also, distributed data storage becomes advantageous because you might want to distribute your data into different servers, into different networks, so that having a source corrupted does not hamper your entire flow or entire working. So there again, distributed data storage will add to an advantage. Remember, it might so even occur that some of the roles that you are applying for do not require all these skill sets, but having them would definitely going to add to an advantage to your resume, to your knowledge base, and would definitely give you an advantage over the other candidates. So make sure you're prepared well. Now, some of the tools that are associated and that are required for a data engineer role are cloud platforms, as we talked of, GCP, AWS, Azure, languages such as Scala. Scala is used for ETL, very popular language in when we talk of ETL. Big data technologies, Hadoop, Kafka, Apache Spark. If you are familiar with Python, then you must have heard of PySpark. Distributed data tools such as AWS, Redshift. So distributed data tools again become very important, as we talked of earlier. Next is machine learning engineer. Now we know what a business analyst does, what a data analyst does, what a data engineer does. Next comes the modeling part. Who takes charge of the modeling? It is primarily the machine learning engineer who takes the supreme responsibility for modeling, predictive modeling, deployment, A/B testing, feature engineering, hyperparameter tuning, generating APIs. How do you make the model useful for the end user? Using APIs, you make the model to render on a particular web interface or fetch them in a particular in some other application and make them useful for the end user. And the tools and skills that you need to learn here are mathematics. You must be familiar with mathematics. One cannot say that he or she can become a machine learning engineer, data scientist without learning the underlying mathematics. For a beginner part, you might skip off some of the complex parts such as linear algebra, but as you dive deeper, as you gain experience, having a thorough understanding of linear algebra will definitely give you an advantage. Programming tools such as Python and R, since these are most popular currently, APIs such as REST API, Flask, Django. So these are some of the roles and skills that a machine learning engineer needs to have. Machine learning engineering role is often interchangeably used for a data science role. There are differences in terms of their capabilities, in terms of what they have to deliver, but the organizations these days use them interchangeably. There is a very thin line of distinction between the two, and you might be confused about whether you're applying for a machine learning engineer or data science role. I advise you to go ahead and look at the job description clearly. Next, we talk of the data scientist. The data scientist role is more of a problem solver, one who has the primary job of solving a problem. It may use technology, it may not use technology, it may use a machine learning model, it may not use a machine learning model. Understand that optimization problems could also be categorized as a part of a subset of data science problems, right? In optimization, you don't need machine learning. But again, what I'm trying to explain here is what are your responsibilities and roles when you are looking for a particular role. Don't feel narrowed down that you don't have this skill set so you cannot apply for this code. Just go ahead and understand this is the entire objective, to make you aware of what are the requirements so that you can prepare well. So first and foremost role is defining the approach to problem solving. What is our team's role approach to solve a particular problem? enabling experimentation with different techniques. Again, I would say this can also be a role performed by a machine learning engineer, but just keeping a fine line of difference between them. Supervising the data needs of the team. What kind of data do we require? Where should we fetch this data from? What are the different attributes that we should look for? Modeling and storytelling, connecting the dots from testing to production. This is very important. How do you link the dots between your from your start till the end, your end to end building? That is one of the most important roles of a data scientist. Machine learning engineer would have an end to end functioning in terms of the solution building, but in terms of connecting them to the business use case, making it useful for the end user, making it productionizable, all these are primarily overseen by a data scientist. Talking of some of the skills and tools, again, mathematics, programming tools, Python and R, problem solving, right? As I already mentioned, the role of a machine learning engineer and data scientist are often taken as interchangeably, and you must look at the job descriptions well. MLOps. Now, MLOps has been emerging as a separate field lately. Earlier, there was no separate field in most many of the organizations. They used to consider machine learning engineer, MLOps engineer, data scientist interchangeably. But now, due to the huge demand, a separate category or separate role is kept aside for MLOps. Again, this would depend on your team size, your the project that you're solving. If it is a very high end project requiring lots and lots of people, then you would have separate roles. If your organization is a small team, you're working in a startup, then you might have roles that are interchangeable between different positions, right? So let us talk of MLOps now. Build and develop platform to enable the development and deployment. This is one of the most important roles. How do you enable problem solving, right? Problem solving is the role of machine learning engineer. The structure to that problem solving is defined by a data scientist, but how do you enable it? Where do you provide the platform for it? Next is monitoring model performance. Model once developed, put into production, needs to be monitored for its performance. Otherwise, its performance degrades. We'll talk about performance degradation in a separate video, but here we are talking. Understand that this is the primary role of a machine learning MLOps. Okay, model life cycle. What are the life stages that a model needs to go through? When should we again taken back for retesting? When should we again taken back for retraining? Keeping a log of the experiments, what were the results of each of the experiments. Some of the tools that needed here are containerization. You must have heard of Docker if you're from a computer science background. Programming languages, Python, R, platforms, Kubeflow, H2O. The role of machine learning engineer and data scientist is often used interchangeably, as I already mentioned earlier. This is the same thing that I'm talking about. Now, one of the things that make people most curious in this field are what are the salaries associated. Remember, your salary depends on your skill set and the companies that you're applying for. If you're applying for a product based company, definitely your salary is going to be higher compared to a non-product based company, or you'll be a little biased in this aspect. But this is the usual trend that we see, and what I'm talking about is what we have seen generally after the COVID pandemic. What has been the trend? Okay, so let us talk about some of the average salaries that we see for these roles after the COVID pandemic. And these salaries are based on for a fresher or a people who are having 1 or 2 year of experience in a related field, right? So these are per year salaries. If we talk of a data scientist could earn somewhere from 11 LPS to 15 LPS as a basic starting salary, right? If a data scientist is having 1 or 2 years experience, he might earn on the higher end. Whereas if you are fresher, then you might earn around 10 and 11 lakhs per annum. For a data analyst, this ranges between 7 LPA to 8 LPA. Again, this could again depend on your negotiation skills as well, how well you negotiate, what is the average offered by the company for the organization for the role, and what role are you actually performing. You might have a different tag, right? You might be called a data scientist, but in actual you might be performing the task of a data analyst. So you have to keep those things in mind as well. Talking of data engineering, the average or median salary that we talk about is 8 lakhs per annum. For a machine learning engineer is also 8 lakhs per annum. MLOps, it's slightly on the higher end, 9.5 lakh to 10 lakhs you can say. For a business analyst, again, this range between this range around like 7 LPA, right? So now that you understand what are the different roles, what are the skills required, what are the tools, and what are the average salaries, so I would advise you all to go ahead and list down your skill sets that you already have, list down your strengths, list down your weaknesses, list down the areas in which you want to work. I'm definitely going to guide you in this journey, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. See you in the next lecture. Have a nice day. Jai Hind. Bye bye.